there are a lot of options. I feel like we could ask this question in January and maybe have a different answer. But is it just as obvious as Kansas being the best team in the Big 12?
No, no, I don't think it's obvious. They're my pick. But I think, again, you could go with Houston if you want. You go with Iowa State, brings back just about everybody. Um, I think you go with Baylor
Yeah,
if it's your liking, right? I mean, with three great, they're big three, I guess. I'm not sure Jeremy Roach qualifies yet as a part of the big three, but BJ Edgecombe and Norchad Ormier certainly do. They're a big two right now. Maybe it's big 2.5 over there until Roach proves that he can handle the point guard duties and be a guy again. Again, I'm not going against Kansas, guys. I'm not.
right.
I think they're the favorite to win the national title by a slim margin over Alabama. It's 1A and 1B for me, and then a gap. And Danny Hurley ain't going to want to hear this, but Danny, you're lucky to be 3 in the preseason poll. I know you got the formula. I get it. But Kansas has Bill Self, and they have shooters, and they've got guys that can put on the floor now. Two things that they did not have a year ago. So
Right.
I will take Kansas and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, CJ. Last year, they thought that too. With Timberlake and Furphy, what's going to be different this year?
I think these are guys that are proven at a little bit higher levels when you look at AJ Storr and Rylan Griffin. But honestly, the one I think they're most excited about is Zeke Mayo. Um, and Zeke probably is a higher level, like low major player than Timberlake was.
Right.
Played on an actual NCAA tournament team. I still have spacing concerns for Kansas because they will still play a lot of minutes with DeJuan Harris, KJ Adams, and Hunter Dickinson on the floor together. So I do think it helps a lot that you're going to put, probably. And AJ Storr is not like he's not really a shooter, but he can shoot. So I think it's going to help that you've got some more scoring on the perimeter and you've got some more shooting out there. And I think the theory for Kansas for me that like why I would be a believer this year is Bill Self's, and they weren't bad last year, but they were bad for Kansas, right? Bill Self's like not going to be bad for 2 straight years. Like he won't let that happen. So I think that would be the best argument for like he's just going to figure it out. And they have
Right.
way more depth. They got so thin at the end last year. They were playing guys that should never be on the that would never typically be on the floor for a Kansas team. So I think he addressed concerns for his roster in the offseason. My pick, and I think, like Jeff said, like I think you could go with any five of these top five and you could justify it. Um, I'll go with Houston just because that's been such a consistent program for the last several years. And they return everybody except for their best player. And that's
Right.
a
Right.
very, very important point to make. But I will say late in the year last year, like they weren't even close to healthy and they were still really good. And JoJo Tugler, like he was coming on when he got
Yeah.
hurt. He's really,
Yeah.
really good. Terrence Arsenault, if you talk to NBA people last year going into the year, like people thought he was their best pro prospect, and he got hurt really, really early. So I think they're going to have really nice depth. And then the Milus Uzan was a nice addition. Like you can't expect him to come in and beat Jamal, but I think their other guards will be able to elevate themselves and have a bigger role than a year ago. And I mean Samson's track record these last 5, 6, 7 years is
Same.
just it's just insane. Like you go through Ken Palm, I think they're top two or three, like for several years in a row. So Houston is just like I have the least number of questions probably about Houston than anybody else. So it's like to me that's the safe pick. But the Kansas ceiling is pretty high. But like Zeke Mayo is going to have to be a dude. AJ Storr is going to have to come through and be consistent and like play the way Self wants him to play.
Need one of
Where
Mayo or Griffin, right? They need one of
yeah,
those guys to
one of
be
them,
a
and one
40%
of them.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. And I think right now, like going in, if you ask them, it'd probably be Zeke is the one they feel better about. But like, I'm thinking that AJ Storr is going to be one of those guys that it could be like a Remy Martin situation where it's a tug and pull with him and Bill, like how he wants him to play versus how AJ sees it, and we'll see. I mean, it's really really early, and we haven't seen him play a game yet, but I don't think like just putting Kansas there is a given like it used to be.
I think
The
I'm going Kansas just simply because like Bill Self and his pissed off portal mission went nuts this summer, and like he just didn't have the volume of guys that he's going to have this year. I mean, let's just say like a couple guys don't have good shooting nights. Well, you can keep going down the line. Last year that wasn't the case, and after about 7 or 8, even before they got hurt, we're kind of like, is this kind of where we have come to expect from Kansas? And I would say no last year. This year, however, worst case scenario, you're going to have to play a freshman named Marquise Passmore, who might be the best defender on the team on the perimeter. Like,
Yep.
there's just so many different ways that they can come at you. Now, shot making is still a thing, especially when you play those three guys. But DeJuan Harris has never really proven to not be a great shooter. It's just the fact that he just doesn't shoot them. So I think that's a big thing to kind of go back there. It's not his strength, but I
He can
think
make
like
open
he's been
shots.
capable enough to where he can hit a couple. And whenever he's been good, they've been great. It's just a matter of like how he's shot the basketball. If I had to go outside the box, I'd probably go Iowa State. And I've been the biggest Iowa State critic because of this cheesy non-conference schedule they've played over the past couple of years. It's just been insane. But you look at who they bring back with Keyshawn Gilbert, Taman Lipsey, who I have as an All-American. I can't remember if it's second or third team, but I have him up there.
I have him on my first team. How about this?
Yeah, I mean,
have him on my first team, which I know is crazy, but he defends, man. He defends and he wins.
You have one every year. That's crazy. I mean, who was it a couple of years that's playing at Southern Miss?
No, we can't go back a couple of years.
Okay, just making sure. I didn't know for sure if we were going there or not.
Is he still in college basketball?
Did you say it?
Corbello? Is he still in college basketball?
Corbello. Please don't ever mention that again.
It's okay. I was a high on Corbello.
You said the name. Hey, CJ, new guy said the name. I didn't say the name. It was the new guy. No, you throw a couple of different guys in there. Momcilovic right at 11 points a game. Josh Jefferson, when he started to figure it out last year for Randy Bidda and St. Mary's, like that's when that team turned it around because like he's just another bigger athlete that can defend. He can make some decisions at the top of the key. And, you know, Deshaun Jackson's been everywhere, but he's been pretty productive where he's been. And we know that the coaching there is going to be superb. So how that goes, they could wind up winning it too. But if I had to pick one, it'd be Kansas. I think Iowa State's a little more in the mix than we're giving credit for.
I will say this. I do like the fact that we did not come to like that stupid Monday Night Football consensus where everybody picks the same overwhelming favorite and then they inevitably lose by 2 touchdowns, right? We're counting CJ down as going with Houston, which